NoDQ.com.
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 NoDQ.com. NoDQ.com.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 949 of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com. Thank you guys for watching this video on NoDQ.com, the full-length version. One video away now from 950. Get your questions in at twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag RoadToNoDQ1000. The next video will be an extended edition. I will answer as many questions as possible. Get them in. Also, leave your comments at the bottom of this page. Your thoughts, any comments or questions you have, I will try to reply to as many of you as possible. Now, with that being said, let's get down to your questions today. First one comes from Nick. Do you see John Cena entering a feud with Kevin Owens when he gets back for the US title, or is that redundant? I think John Cena should do something else other than compete for the US title. Like you said, it's redundant. Been there, done that. I want to see John Cena against somebody he has never faced. And looking at the SmackDown Live roster, really the only guy I see as a possibility is Nakamura. John Cena versus Nakamura. But then again, it's the typical match where it's babyface versus babyface, but the fans are booing John Cena. We've seen it before. The match I think WWE should build towards for next year's WrestleMania, instead of Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, is Roman Reigns versus John Cena. That's the match I think WWE should do for next year's WrestleMania as the main event. Bring back John Cena, but put him on Raw and build up Cena versus Reigns for next year's WrestleMania. That's what I would do, at least. To me, that's the one interesting match that WWE has not done with John Cena that is something different. You know, the two superheroes, and perhaps the one match where John Cena will get the majority of cheers, and it'll be Cena actually getting a positive reaction in a big match situation. That's what I want to see. So if it was my call, I would have John Cena return on Raw and build towards Cena versus Reigns. Got this one here from Paul Jackson. Do you think Jinder Mahal will win the WWE title at Backlash? If not, who do you see beating Orton for the title? I think it's unlikely that Mahal wins the title, but I'm not going to rule anything out. We've seen crazy things in WWE over the years, and I would not rule it out as a possibility. We have about 4 weeks until the Backlash pay-per-view. Anything could happen. Maybe Jinder Mahal's character will catch on. Maybe he'll become a major heel that gets this incredible heat. I really doubt it, and I think there's a good chance the fans will boo the match out of the building at Backlash if WWE goes through with this. I think in likelihood we will see Orton retain the title, and who will he lose it to? I could see AJ Styles being that guy. Maybe AJ Styles wins the title from Orton at SummerSlam, and then WWE builds up AJ versus Nakamura. Maybe Nakamura wins it from Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and then you see AJ Styles versus Nakamura at next year's WrestleMania for the WWE title. What a match that would be at WrestleMania. That would be unbelievable, and that could be your SmackDown main event versus the Raw main event of John Cena versus Roman Reigns. So you have the one main event that is appealing to Vince and the casual fans, and then you have the match that's appealing to the internet fans. Everybody wins. I would do that as the double main event for next year's WrestleMania. But that's just my opinion. This one comes from Daniel Long. How do Jinder and Drew McIntyre get big pushes after leaving WWE, but my guy Heath Slater, who hasn't won when he has stayed? I think you're asking about why Heath Slater hasn't gotten the big push, while somebody like Jinder Mahal has, and even Drew McIntyre is getting pushed in NXT, and WWE's trying to build him up again. With Heath Slater, the thing is, he has been around for so long as a lower card guy. Now, maybe he could succeed if WWE pushed him at a stronger level than what he's been pushed at. But the thing is, with Jinder Mahal, it was about being in the right place at the right time, with SmackDown needing a big heel and WWE trying to expand their audience and their reach in India. For Drew McIntyre, he's being used to help WWE in the UK, and he's helping the NXT brand, so it's about timing. For Slater, things did work out for him when he went to SmackDown Live, and that gimmick caught on for a couple months and it gave him something to do, but there's just no good spot for him right now, unfortunately, either as a babyface or as a heel. It's just a timing thing. Maybe at some point things will change for Slater, but I think it's unlikely that he gets a big push again in WWE unless the right opportunity comes along. And right now, there's just no indication that he's going to get that opportunity anytime soon. This one comes from Dave Lesnar. Is Batista ever coming back? How come he would come back? Or how could he come back, excuse me? Fans would resent him being near the main event even though he's a mega star. That's a great question. Will Batista ever end up back in WWE? I would be surprised if we never see Batista again. I think we will see him at some point, but from Batista's perspective, there's no rush to come back. And I think from WWE's perspective, they're focusing on other stars now. I could see Batista possibly coming back as a part-timer if the right opportunity comes along. Again, it comes down to timing. I say this a lot in the videos, but it's really true. Timing is everything. Timing is such a big factor with a lot of things that go on in wrestling. Sometimes you have to just be in the right place at the right time. Now, when it comes to Batista, it's not like he needs to be in the right place at the right time. He is doing tremendous. He is making a name for himself in Hollywood. He's in big budget movies now. He's doing really well. He does not need WWE. He's one of the few guys that doesn't need WWE. I think that if it happens, it happens. If the right match comes along and the timing is right where Batista's not busy with a movie, then I could see him possibly coming back. It's not like WWE and Batista are at odds to the point where they will not do business with each other. If there's money to be made, if the timing's right, Batista will be back in WWE again. It's just a matter of the right circumstances and all the stars aligning for that to happen. This one comes from Josh. Which is the most shocking Stone Cold stunner? I'd say it was when Stone Cold stunned JR at In Your House Ground Zero. I have to say that was a surprising one because Jim Ross was a babyface character and Austin at the time was a babyface character, even though he's the anti-establishment and he's more of the rebel type of character. It was still a bit of a surprise, but I think that it would have been more of a surprise, say, in 1999. The thing is, in 97, the relationship between Austin and JR on camera wasn't really established. It was in 99 that it was clear Austin and JR were close and they were friends and all that stuff. So if Austin had stunned JR in 99, that would have been really shocking. But yeah, even in 97, for Austin to stun JR when JR was a babyface character, that was a little surprising, even considering what Austin was doing at the time with his character. But I would have to say the most shocking one for me was WrestleMania 23 when Austin stunned Donald Trump. I was not expecting that. The reason being, Donald Trump, would he actually take a bump on WWE television? Would he actually show any kind of weakness? We all know how Donald Trump is. He's always trying to make himself look great, in his own words. Make himself great, make America great, whatever. And for Donald Trump to show any kind of weakness, even in a storyline environment, I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised that he would take a bump. Wasn't a very good bump. It was actually a pretty damn terrible bump. But I'm sure he blamed that on somebody else. Maybe he blamed it on Austin. Who knows? And I better get off the political talk before I get people angry. I'm not really a fan of either side, Republicans or Democrats, for the record. I'm a libertarian. So just throwing that out there. Just poking a little bit of fun at Donald Trump. Now that that's out of the way, yeah, I would say that was the most shocking one. In my own personal opinion, Donald Trump taking the stunner. I didn't think Trump would take the bump. I figured, you know, him and Austin would share a beer and that would be it. And Donald Trump would look as strong as possible going off into the sunset. But you know what? He was a trooper. He took the bump, and I give Trump credit for at least trying. This one comes from The Cruise. Is there a Charlotte face turn on the horizon? If so, Natty, Carmella, Tamina versus a reunited PCB? I'm trying to remember PCB. I believe the P was Paige, right? And I am not expecting her to come back. I do not see Charlotte turning anytime soon. I think basically what happened was Charlotte and Alexa swapped brands. And now Alexa's one of the top heels on Raw, and Charlotte's the top heel on SmackDown. And I think that will be the way it goes for the time being, with Charlotte feuding with the baby faces on SmackDown. I do not see Charlotte turning face anytime soon. She's doing a great job as a heel, so why turn her face? No need. She's doing tremendous in her current role as the heel challenging the babyface champion, whether it's Naomi or Becky Lynch. Regardless of who it is, I think Charlotte is best as a heel, at least for the next 6 months to a year. And then down the line, you can look at the situation and then go from there and determine if the timing is right. Again, it's timing. The timing is not right to turn Charlotte at this time, in my opinion. This one comes from Daniel Lynch. Could you see someone like The Ascension or Breezango being released this year, and would they be a good fit in Impact? Who knows? I'm not going to speculate on who should lose their jobs, you know. They very well could end up getting released. They've already been greatly lost in the shuffle. I think at least with Breezango, they have a role in the sense of being the punching bags and being the guys to go out there and get beat up by the bigger stars. So there's a role for them. With Ascension, I'm not really sure what the hell is going on with them. They were pushed, and then they weren't, and then it seemed like for like a week maybe they were being pushed again. But yeah, there seems to be no good direction for the Ascension. And just like the Vaudevillains, you know, it's an act that is quickly fizzled out and has gone nowhere. I think it might have had a little bit more potential than the Vaudevillains to last, but you know, they dropped the ball with them. The problem is, right from the beginning, they were portrayed as these LOD knockoffs, and that did them no favors whatsoever. Will they go to TNA? Are they a good fit for TNA? Yeah. Pretty much anybody that WWE releases, TNA tends to pick up. You know, they bring in these former WWE talents. It really does impact no good in the long run, but that's the way it is. If there are free agents out there, anybody that was a star, even a slight star, you know, TNA might try to pick them up. So would not shock me at all if any of those guys, if they got released, ended up in TNA. This one comes from good old Sean T. Flick, regular contributor. What do you think of Miz winning the IC title and feuding with Rollins, and then Ambrose can feud with Joe? I like the idea of Joe going for the IC title. I think that that would be a cool thing to see, for Joe to pick up his first singles title on the main roster by winning the IC title. Who would Joe feud with? I would be fine with Ambrose versus Joe. I don't see the need for Miz to win it. I'm not a fan of Miz being on Raw, period. I've made this clear before. I think that he's going to get lost in the shuffle, and I think Ambrose and Joe would be a really strong feud. I would love to see that program. Have Joe beat Ambrose to win his first singles title on the main roster. I would rather Ambrose stay champion rather than switching the titles around back and forth to different people. Do Ambrose versus Joe. That's what I would do, at least in my opinion, and have Joe win the title. That would actually be a hot feud, I think. That would be a really fun feud, I think. Dean Ambrose versus Samoa Joe. So I would go with that as the next big feud for both guys. This one comes from Matt Big. What's your take on RVD's run in WWE overall? I think he had a great run, at least his initial run in WWE. Unfortunately, he had that incident with Sabu when they got busted, and that really killed his momentum. He was the WWE and ECW champion, and then he ended up having to drop both titles, and that was pretty much the end of his big run in WWE. But overall, he had a really solid run for several years in WWE. The second run, not so good. I can understand him not being in any hurry to come back unless there's something significant for him to do. Why come back at this point? You know, that last run, he basically did nothing, and it just felt like he was marginalized. He was just a guy. You know, if RVD's going to come back, make him a big deal and have him in some sort of meaningful feud or storyline. Just don't bring him back because, oh, we need a legend on the roster. You know, he's RVD. You know, he's a big star. Do something significant with him if you're going to bother bringing him back at all. This one comes from The Dark One. Would anyone in WWE today have the balls to refuse to lose like Hogan, Michaels, and so forth? I doubt it. If somebody cares about their job, they will not do something like that. They will not play the political card. Hogan could get away with it back then. Hogan had political stroke, especially in WCW. You know, in WWE he had some stroke, but when there was that talk about Bret Hart beating Hulk Hogan for SummerSlam, Hogan took off. He went to WCW. Somebody like CM Punk, he was unhappy with the direction of his character. He took off. He quit. And he made some good money, and he could do it, and he felt like doing it, so he left. But for a lot of these guys, you know, wrestling is all they know, and for some of them, you know, they need the money. And it's a different business now. You know, in WCW, guys could get away with doing these power plays, and even Shawn Michaels in '97, he could get away with it because WWE was in a very tough battle with WCW, and the last thing WWE needed was to lose one of their top stars like Shawn Michaels to WCW. So Shawn could pretty much get away with anything. He could call the shots because WWE desperately needed him. Now, it's a totally different era. Almost everybody is disposable. I mean, there are some guys that are really talented that could make a difference elsewhere, but realistically, you know, I've said this many times, even the biggest stars in WWE could go to TNA and it would really make no difference. TNA is not going to be able to figure out how to market those guys, and TNA would probably somehow manage to screw things up with those guys. And I'm sure somebody out there who's a TNA fan, there's a couple of guys out there that get on my case, that make videos calling me out. You know, I'm not biased. I wish TNA was doing way better. I wish TNA was succeeding and competing with WWE, but the reality is WWE basically controls the marketplace, and there are very few guys, maybe John Cena, maybe The Rock, and that's about it. There's only like 2 or 3 guys that can call their own shots. You know, The Rock can go out there at the Staples Center and call up CM Punk and get away with it because he's The Rock. Almost nobody else could get away with that. The Rock, if they complain to The Rock, he'll be like, "See you later, guys," and he'll go off and do his own thing. He doesn't need WWE. But most of the guys, they need WWE. WWE is where the big money is, and there's no real alternatives to go for the big money. This one comes from Mr. Yuck. Might we ever see a break in kayfabe by Mark Calloway / Undertaker on the WWE Network programming or TV? Probably not on your standard edition of Raw or SmackDown or a regular show or a pay-per-view, but maybe at some point Undertaker will do a behind-the-scenes interview as Mark Calloway. I could see that happening. Maybe a network special where he breaks character, an interview special. You know, one of those 24 specials maybe. You know, I think when he goes into the Hall of Fame, we will see the man Mark Calloway do his speech and break character. But beyond that, I don't think it'll happen. It'll be for a special occasion like the Hall of Fame or maybe a documentary interview. But that'll be it. Nothing on Raw or SmackDown. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Again, thank you to all of you that continue to support not only the videos, but the website. This is NoDQ.com. This is a product of NoDQ.com. I thank you guys that are supporting the videos and going on the website. Stay tuned for episode number 950. Get your questions in at twitter.com/AaronRift, and I will see you guys next time.